Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 14 of the Bench Seat Podcast. We have one order of business to get to before we get into anything else. So, Mr. Niang, how are you?
I'm doing good. You know, I'm George Niang. This is my co-host, Kevin Spees. You know, we always started off like that.
I need to do that more often. I got to get something.
You always got to get... Kevin's going to tell a story about himself.
This is not a story.
Right?
This is selfless, actually. Oh, my wife's calling me. Can you believe this? Let's just see what she says. Hey, honey, I'm on the bench sheet and you are live.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I'll call you after. Love you. Bye. Very important news. Monday. Is it Monday? Monday is a big day. Would you like to share with the folks
a national holiday?
What Monday is?
Monday is the day of birth for the one, the only.
Mr. Niang. I got
George
you something,
Niang.
dude. Now, you've been going really hard in the gym and in the kitchen. And so you're allowed to have a little treat. So I didn't want to get a whole cake, but I got you some Oreos. Happy birthday to Mr. George Niang. Happy birthday, everybody. 31 years old.
Shout out to Oreo. You know, they've done a great job of sponsoring me my whole life. You know, they've done a great job. The Halloween edition, the Christmas edition.
There's some bangers.
The peanut butter, the
mint.
The inside out. I'm not a fan of the mint, but Oreo,
what?
You know, you've been doing it for a long time. You've been stepping up your game. Hey, if you guys want to have a wonderful dessert, go get you some Oreos.
This is not paid, but we should really quick while we're on the topic. Yeah. What are your favorite desserts that have Oreos in them? I'll give you an example for number one.
McFlurry.
Cookies and cream. Okay, so McFlurry.
A Blizzard. Cookies and cream.
Those are three ice cream things. I'll give you another one. Oreo cheesecake.
Oreo cheesecake is high level. Yeah. Now, when you say cheesecake, what was your first experience eating cheesecake? Was it at the Cheesecake Factory? Because that was mine.
Was it?
Yeah.
No,
my mom made a really good cheesecake. Mom, shout out to you because you know I loved your cheesecake, and now it's come to bite me in the ass, you know, for eating those cookies and cheesecake. But you made the best cheesecake ever. But
Does she make good cheesecake?
Yeah, great.
Damn.
My first experience with cheesecake was at the Cheesecake Factory, and when I was younger, that was like high-end food.
Yeah, bro. When you're growing up and like you lived in the burbs, right? I'm assuming I lived in the burbs. You went out to dinner at a chain restaurant. That was like big. Yeah. It was like, oh, we're going out to dinner.
Hear it now. 99.
Oh yeah, 99's only out here though. I never knew what that was.
The Outback.
Outback. Do you have on the border?
Cheesesteak, yes. On the border was Mexican food, right?
Yeah, my dad used to get Tequila Sunrise. It was very suspect. Maybe a little bit like the shirt. That's okay. It's Pride Month, and we are allies here at the bench seat. 100%. Anyway, what are some other ones? Cheesecake. I never went to Cheesecake Factory till I was 17.
You look like a Long John Silver type of guy.
Why? Because I got a long silver. Just kidding.
This guy's crazy.
My favorite of all time is Chili's, though. It's not even close. Chili's slams. Southwestern El Grove.
You know, Applebee's was another big one. In college, we wore that out. 2 for $20. Shout out my Iowa State teammates. Yes, because half off apps. Yep. But my Iowa State teammates, we'd go in there with $20, and we'd get an appetizer and we'd get a meal for $20. Shout out my guys. But no, there's. Moving on to a serious note. You know,
happy birthday! But by the way, it's your George Niang year.
Yeah,
it's 31.
My George Niang.
Even though you're 20 now, you're 31 in everyone's hearts.
Let's ride.
And it's your George Niang year. So happy birthday, bro.
Thanks. Appreciate the Oreos.
Dude. I'm a little bit older. I'm 36.
You know, besides the NBA playoffs going around, obviously there's been some NBA news that you know we hate to discuss because it's devastating. The logo Jerry West passed away. Phenomenal human being, phenomenal advocate for the game of basketball, and had pushed the game in so many different ways with his play, coaching, being in a front office, he did it all in the front office. And
do you want to hear some highlights?
Let's hear about it.
1972 NBA champion. Finals MVP 1969. 14-time All-Star.
People don't have 14-year careers. Never mind 14-year.
10-time All-NBA first team, 2-time NBA second team, 4-time All-NBA defensive team. By the way, the defensive team, and he's a guard. harder to do, as we talked about in the past, because you don't have as many stats.
I mean, but at the same time, people got to understand he was a pretty big guard back in the day.
He's a big boy, yeah. And by the way, all these scoring things, like there was a I believe it was game 3 of their series in maybe 71 when they played the Knicks in the Knicks one. He hit a half court shot to send the game into overtime. They would have gone up 2-1, send the game into overtime. But if it was today's NBA, it would have been a 3-point shot. A lot of people say he would have had another championship if it was today's rules.
Well, if was a fifth, we'd all.
Yes. NCAA Final Four Most Outstanding Player 1959, 2-time All-America 59-60. As I said, NBA scoring champion in 70, and NBA
as you understand, he's had a extremely long resume.
But the most important thing, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we got to get to it.
No, you love doing this.
He put together the first dynasty of the 2000s with Kobe Bryant, and then he orchestrated the Shaq trade, and those two, maybe the best, are quite possibly the most dominant playoff team ever. They lost one game 1 of the finals, to Allen Iverson. Otherwise, they swept the entire playoffs, orchestrated that team, put the team together.
And, Jerry had a way about him. He definitely had some humor.
Did you ever meet him?
And, one time when I was in Utah, I was sitting, on the bench, after my pregame time, and he walked up to me and he was like, "George," tapped me. I was like, "Good to see you." He was like, "It's good to finally see that you're in shape now." And I was like, that's pretty funny. And my coach that was sitting next to me, he was like, "Oh, the logo, the logo said that to you." But that's just who he was, and he said how he felt.
Yeah.
And
it was friendly. It was all love.
Oh no, I appreciate it more than he could ever know. And then you think about what he did with the Lakers, and then his development into the Clippers, from getting them where they were to where they are now. Rest in peace to a legend. He will definitely be missed. His legacy will live on forever, especially with him being, the logo.
Speaking of the logo, and speaking of, I was going to ask you if there was anybody you would want to be the logo outside of Jerry West, who would it be?
I think right now,
because he said he didn't really want to be the logo, which I don't know if that's how he always felt, but
it kind of just goes without saying, like the logo is Jerry West, but
it is, isn't it?
I don't know who else it could be. Like the next in line would probably be Michael Jordan
or Kobe.
Kobe, and then LeBron, and so on and so forth. It just replicates everything that's right about the game, his history, his legacy, and how he's stayed, involved in the game of basketball even after playing.
Yeah. Stud. Speaking of studs, we are now in the middle of a dominant performance. I have to say.
Yeah, I have to say it. Look into the camera and say it.
I was wrong about the Celtics. I was wrong. I was a victim of the moment. Because early on in the season, I saw them play. I said, no one is touching this team. Then I lost faith. And I think I know why I lost faith. I think it's because they are just clearly so much better than everybody else. It's not even close. Their role players are absolute monsters. Drew Holiday is one of the scariest point guards I've ever seen. The guy is a beast. He's an ox. Rips rebounds, eats in the post.
Whoa.
What?
No, he doesn't
eat anything like wieners or anything like that. He just eats.
He crushes it down there. He doesn't.
Derek White is an absolute stud. Defensively, they are just it's crazy how good they are. And man, when they move the basketball, I don't see them, a team that's going to beat them for the foreseeable future.
It's interesting that you say that because I was talking to someone the other day, and obviously, nobody's ever just going to give their team their flowers, right? They're going to be like, well, if Jokic was there, how would they guard him? Because if you watch the game 3, Dallas was doing a good job of getting into the paint and scoring without them having Kristaps Porzingis. And I think what Denver poses issues is they have a guy in Nikola Jokic that can go get 2-point field goals at a high level that are tough 2-point field goals, where it's like you can't switch Drew Holiday on them, you can't switch Derek White onto them, you can't do that 1 through 5 switching that you're normally used to doing, because there's a big man that can pass and can get 2-point field goals. So at the same time, Denver isn't in it, but you have a team that has a big man or a guy that can get twos and is bigger than a lot of people. It poses its issues, but for the Celtics to gentleman sweep, and then possibly sweep in the finals, you were fucking wrong, and you got to give them their flowers because it's been an impressive playoff performance with only 2 losses so far.
Yes, and I do think not enough people are talking about how good the Celtics are. They are very, very good. You hear a lot about...
You want to flip-flop. You were that guy.
Am I not allowed to change my opinion?
No, because when you come up...
So I have to double down on something that I think is wrong?
We talk about standing on business, what are you standing on right now? You shouldn't have said it. You shouldn't have said it if you're like, this is going to be the most boringest. I'm not going to say... Like, they shouldn't even be down 20 points. And they have 2 losses and are about to have 16 wins and a championship.
Yeah,
Own
about
it.
to go 80-20.
Own
I
it.
said I was wrong. By the way, I didn't say they were bad. I never said they were bad. I said they were uninspired. And so what I meant by that was you don't watch that team and go, oh, my God, these guys are playing so hard. They play good. That's how I felt the first few rounds. That is not how I see the games now, being truthful. Yeah. Maybe they needed to get to the finals, and things were just too easy because the truth is they didn't face Embiid. They didn't face Giannis. The East was a little different this year because of injuries and whatever. They faced teams that they weren't expected to face, and they blew through them. And so maybe that's why they were uninspiring to watch. Watching them in the finals, they're taking a Mavericks team and dissecting a team that I thought looked really good defensively their first few series, especially against Ant-Man and Minnesota. The Mavs looked great defensively. They look horrible defensively, and I think it's because the Celtics are just fucking really good, and they're just picking them apart.
Yeah.
So whatever, I'm wrong. We do have to say though, what is your take? What is your take on people really giving Luka a hard time for number one, not playing great defense, and number two, spending a lot of time arguing with the refs? Do you have an issue with that?
It's Luka Doncic. Like, you weren't complaining when he was getting you to the finals. Like, it's who he is. It's like that's what comes with Luka, and like it's going to be on him whether or not like if he's going to feed into changing that. But Luka Doncic does so many good things that, yes, of course, when they're losing, people are going to harp on that
small thing.
Doesn't play defense, always is arguing with the refs. Like, it is what it is. Yes, he has to be better, clearly, because they're down 3-0. But if it was 2-1, would people be saying the same things? I don't know. But at the same time, Dallas, I don't want to say has overachieved, but I don't think anybody really picked them to be in their finals, and they've done a tremendous job. That comeback against the Minnesota Timberwolves was, phenomenal. And, I think, they're in for a dogfight. They're down 3-0. No team's ever won being down 3-0, so they're in for it. But in other sporting news, Caitlin Clark was left off of the Olympic Team USA roster, and guess what? Oh, well.
Yeah, number one, everybody's talking about it, and the women, such a larger conversation. I feel like
the women's sports have won 8 gold medals.
Yeah, I heard Rachel Nichols made a good point. She said that it is a harder team to make. The women's USA team is a harder team to make for a professional basketball player than the men's team is, and the idea was, the best players in the NBA, not all of them are American. And for the overwhelming majority, the best players in the WNBA are all American. They're American women. So it's
what about the girl from who's the second leading scorer from Dallas?
Who got left out?
Yeah,
who's a dog.
That one, pardon my memory slippage. I forgot her name, but she's unreal.
Yeah.
But when you talk about, from a marketing standpoint, and as much as everybody wants to say it's about the game, yes, it is about the purity of the game. But Caitlin Clark has helped bring so many eyes to the WNBA. It's not taking any credit away from any of the other players. But when you have her come into the league and ratings are up, social media coverage is up like 700%.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, clearly she has done something for that. And it's like, nobody's asking you to like pity pat her on the back or do this or do that. But at the same time, it's okay to appreciate, great things that people have done. And, at the same time, I think this is just one thing where I was like, yes, it's unfortunate. Would we have loved to see her on the team? Yes. But at the same time, like when you watch the women's team, I think they're going to blow everybody out.
Yeah, they
anyway.
Are. And they're going to blow everybody out. And like the Olympics are for the most part, like USA basketball is obviously out to make money, but for the most part, the Olympics are not a money making. It's not a business. Once every 4 years, you compete to win. So they got the 12 best players, arguably. And so, yeah, business wise, is it the best choice? Probably not, because Caitlin Clark would have brought so many more eyes to these games. But on the same token, the women's team is not worried about that. They're worried about winning a gold medal.
Yeah.
And so for only 12 spots, taking someone off that spot to have Caitlin Clark ride the bench is like, it's just not worth it.
And I do like the way Caitlin Clark has been handling it in the media.
She's been handling everything.
Media darling. Go ahead. Keep doing you, girl. If people feel like you're getting hated on, just keep being yourself. I've loved that out of her.
I do miss the Caitlin Clark, though, that was like sophomore or junior year at Iowa. She was like yelling at her teammates. She had an edge to her, dude.
I think she still does have an edge. It's just she's not talking about that in the media. But moving on from the WNBA and the USA women's team, JJ Redick, it looks like is in the lead to get the Lakers job. Yeah. But before that being said, Coach Hurley turned down a $70 million deal.
Now,
from the outside looking in, what is your thought process behind this? Because I'd love, I'm sure the fans would love to hear. The fans would love to hear what your thought process is behind him turning it down. Mind you, I apologize on the podcast before this because I was making fun of Kevin for being like, oh, Coach Hurley's the greatest. And he's run some really good stuff. So credit to you, Coach Hurley.
Credit to me for noticing it as well. Okay, here's my take. Dan Hurley took what was effectively a mid-major program. UConn had just because UConn had won the championship in 2014, they had fallen into the depths of mid-major program. They were not in the Big East anymore. He got them out of that, back into the Big East, back to prominence. And that, as you know, building a program takes years. Mm-hmm. And as someone who has built programs. Albeit at high school level.
What the fuck have you built?
I've built
a couple very
continue
to go.
It takes years. And so, that's a long process, and he's done it at the college level, and that's like a ship now that ship's going to drive itself. I think he's going to be competitive for a long time. I think if he goes to the Lakers, he is going to deal with someone in LeBron James, who's the greatest player of all time, in my opinion. He is also a coach killer.
Wow.
From the outside looking in.
Fucking wild for you to say.
Why?
A coach killer?
Meaning like the second a coach isn't kind of on board, again, this is what it seems like from the outside.
Okay, you're right.
Second,
I asked you the opinion.
A coach is not on board with kind of like what LeBron's vision for the franchise is, they're gone. And so it's not that coaches aren't successful, it's that like the second they're not, they're out. So at that point, like he goes to LA, he has one shot at it. If it doesn't work out, sure, he's got $70 million, but then where is he?
He's back at UConn?
Yeah, but he's another coach that didn't make it in the NBA. Whereas he could stick with what he's doing, have his pick of NBA jobs when the time comes, and also continue to win championships at the college level.
Yeah,
smart move in my opinion.
No, I respect him for it. I mean, obviously he's I don't want to say very calculated because that seems like very devious, but yeah. I think he knows what's going on and what his strengths are and what he needs to develop on. And I don't think his story in college is done yet. But what a great leverage play. I love a good leverage play that he could go to UConn next and be like, hey, the Lakers did offer me, $70 million over 6 years.
Yeah.
I want to be, especially if he wins 3 in a row. If he wins 3 in a row,
you got to pay that man.
I mean,
yeah.
I could go to the league. Well, I want to be the highest paid basketball coach in college basketball. And he wouldn't be wrong for saying that because what he's done, you talk about building up a program, is tremendous.
Yeah.
The 2 national championships that they've won, obviously that takes, time and effort, and he's putting the effort. He's got the players. He's produced pros. You know, they got that kid down in New Orleans who's a sniper. They have the kid that got drafted by Milwaukee. You have Donovan Clingan.
Yep.
The other freshman that's going to be in there. Sorry, I don't know the names. I try to keep my mind out of it in basketball. But they have tremendous talent. They've lived up to all the hype. And if he wins 3 in a row, he should be the highest paid basketball coach in college basketball. Without question, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I agree. I don't think he did it. I think he considered it. I think he went to LA and was like, what's the pitch? Like, how is this a smart basketball choice? Because the truth is, the money, I think he's making $7 million a year at UConn.
Run it up.
What I'm saying is like, the only way the Lakers were going to get him is if they threw stupid money at him. And they didn't. I don't think he would have believed in the basketball. Like, 70 over 6 is not stupid money, you know, like considering what coaches could make. I think he'd be like the 7th highest paid coach. So it's like,
with not coaching in the NBA.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not saying it wasn't a good offer. I'm just saying.
Okay, so then there's your top 5 coaches. Just think about what you just said. He'd only be the 7th. There's your top 5 coaches, and then there's one more, and then him who hasn't coached in a huge market.
If you wanted Danny Hurley, that's what you were going to have to pay him to get him. It was good because the basketball side of it doesn't make sense to me. Like he is an old school, like he wants to coach kids and be like my way or the highway. Do you personally think that's going to work with some of the NBA players that are on the Lakers?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I was reading a story about Danny Hurley, and it was basically saying that Tristan Thompson like mouthed off to him. I love you, Tristan. Yeah. And then he kicked him off the team.
Yeah, St. Benedict's.
And I was like, Tristan, is this true? He's like, yeah, fam, it was facts still. and I'm like, dang, this dude does not play around. But, you know, that works in college. And you got to give NBA coaches credit because to be able to come into a situation and not only coach basketball, but coach personalities, coach egos, and make it all work, you have to be very selfless, egoless, and just a problem solver, not a problem announcer. Be like, hey, we don't do this right. No, like everybody knows what we don't do right.
Yeah.
How are we going to get the ship in the right direction? And to do that and still build culture, you know, if you can do that at a high level, more credit, more power to you, especially in the NBA limelight. But
I do want to talk one before we move off this. I do want to get your take on the JJ Redick.
Yeah, I was just going to say JJ Redick. You know, obviously,
you know him personally.
Yeah, a very. A very smart basketball player. I think, you know, definitely thinks out of the box when it comes to strategies and different things like that. I think you have seen it on the podcast that he does with LeBron. Yeah. Logistically, I think it's probably the best fit, right? You know, I don't think, you know, JJ has, you know, too big of an ego to, you know, not listen to other people, and I think he's going to acquire a good staff, and I think it's going to be a hand-in-hand relationship, you know, with LeBron and, you know, the stars of that team to make it work and have the Lakers be, you know, what they always have been.
Do you, because one of the things you hear on the news is like, the big question is how is he as a coach going to use Anthony Davis in creative ways on both sides of the floor? Do you have like a thought on what do you think like a good strategy, or are they focused in the wrong?
Yeah, I think they're focused in the wrong things. I mean, LeBron is been doing this for 22 years now. Like, he has a lot of mileage on his body. You know, they're gonna need to do something in free agency to get another piece there or
two.
Yeah, and when you do that, you have enough pieces to win. Then it's like, okay, now we have to attack this year and kind of really be all in and make sure that, you know, we have the right pieces surrounding, you know, Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis is dominant, and he showed his dominance this year. He had a great year. I don't think there's any like change where he needs to fit in. He did a great job. He was in shape. He was elite. He blocked shots. But there's a lot of pressure in LA, and sometimes that's great for some people, and other times it's not. And I'm not saying for JJ as a coach, I'm more or less saying for the players that come in there. Some players are great in other cities. They get to LA, and it's like, well, maybe this wasn't a good fit. I think JJ Redick's going to do a phenomenal job.
So you think I've
always believed that shooters are the most cognitive and have the most basketball awareness and are very routine based, and I think that's what makes good coaches. So JJ Redick, I'd be happy for him if he got that job.
Wait, can you expand on that? Why would you think that shooters are like the best coaches as far as players go?
I just think they're very routine based. Every shooter that I've met is like very, I do this, I do that, and I don't break away from my routine. Whether if I'm sick, not feeling well, feeling great, I'm going to do my routine and focus on getting 1% better. And they have a foundation of like their shot that they never, when shit is going sideways, they get back to that foundation. And I feel like that's how successful people work, where like shit is crazy. Like, we're on the road, we lost 3 in a row. Okay, what are our core values? What are the things that we hold our feet in the ground, and this is what we built our process on. Let's get back to that. Okay, and I think shooters do have a really good job of getting back to that rather than being like, oh, let's try this, oh, let's try that. And if you're always just trying to try new things, it doesn't really work out. But with that being said, who knows? First-time head coaches, it's not easy.
Speaking of head coaches, there's still a head coach vacancy in a town called Cleveland.
Yeah.
Do you have any inside information, any breaking news you want to break on the podcast right now? Or are things just kind of still left up in the air?
I
see a smirk. We're going to play this politically correct, I believe, folks.
No,
but
we're just waiting on, I know it's Mike Norrie, Kenny Atkinson, and James Barrega.
Now, are players, and I don't know if you can even answer this or not, but are players involved at all in the interview process or anything?
No, that's completely like...
Hold on, I want to tell a story. I one time interviewed for
No, this is the problem. Nobody cares about you interviewing. So anyway, back to the point.
And I had to interview with all the kids, all the whole entire high school team before I met with the administration.
Don't you hate that guy? Hey, Kev, could you tell that story?
Is that a cool story, guys?
Could you tell that story one more time and never tell it again?
Were you a part of the interview process?
No, I mean, the front office is paid a great big salary to do that stuff. And like someone had once told me before, it's like, stay in your lane, because when you start trying to get out of your lane, that's how you get hit by a Mack truck. So I'm excited for whoever.
Damn, that's a good one, bro.
Excited for whoever it's going to be. And
I got him on that one. So you're just like, hey, whoever it is, we'll do the right thing.
Yeah, I think we have a great team.
You have relationships with the people that are in the running anyway, right?
Yeah, I know who they are. We have a great team, and I think I think a lot of us felt like we underachieved this past year, and we have so much more to grow and be, and we're going to need someone that's going to push us to do that. And I think the front office realizes that, and we're going to go forward. And I trust those guys to make the right decision and who's going to lead us.
I mean, at the end of the day, you guys did have one of the best like month and a half of basketball in recent years. And I think it just, I think you won 18 to 21 or whatever it is. You guys can get really hot. I think you got a chance to make some noise in a East that has a lot of parity.
Yeah, and you got to get lucky and strike when the iron's hot.
And so speaking of getting ready, what are some things you're doing this off season to get ready? Are there any cross training things you're doing?
No, I've just been enjoying time with family.
I heard you've been boxing actually. I think we have footage of it. Can we pull up the footage of George boxing? Because I know.
Yeah, you see him. Hit play. Yeah. We like to call that the 1-2. Shout out Uncle Spunk down at Everybody Fights, baby.
I'm really hoping that we can get some footage of you, because it's great cardio.
That dude might beat you up. I've heard that you used to run your mouth back in the day.
Never, dude, never. It's great cardio. So I'd love to see some of those celebrity videos. There's like the celebrities like to put them on Instagram. I wonder if you could do that, of you shadow boxing, like Meek Mill did.
Yeah, and you go, ha, 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 ha. There's nothing worse in the gym when you're working out and someone is boxing, like trying to get the attention of like, ha,
Dude, especially in the middle of the fucking gym. It's like, okay, I go to Lifetime Fitness.
Yes, tell him about that story about how that dude tried to check you because Kevin was walking around with his pink shirt and this dude thought he was soft.
I did have an issue at the gym where I was using a lat pull down. I am looking type jack though. Am I not? Anyway, I was doing a lat pull down, and I do what's called supersets, which you don't really know much about because you don't do fitness.
Get the fuck on with the story, please.
And I was doing shoulder raises afterwards. I go back to the machine, and the guy is wiping it down. So clearly,
trying to be a nice guy, right?
No, he's like, he's taking it from me, which is fine
because he didn't respect you.
George would gas this up. If this were in real life, you would gas it up.
He did not respect you.
He did not. And I just said, hey, man, I have a couple more sets. And all I wanted for someone to say in that thing is like, oh, my bad. And I would have said, don't worry about it. It's all good.
And what'd he say?
Anyway, he said, I don't remember what he said. He said something very disrespectful, and I didn't appreciate it. And so
he seldom F you.
I don't know if he said F you, but he
Kevin was like, I don't care whatever you're talking about. I'm a sit down and do this set.
So anyway, my sets got done. So that wasn't.
Shout out the guy at Planet Fitness.
But I will say the Lifetime, like, okay, you want to pay a trainer to do the boxing thing? Cool. I think that's cool, dude. You don't have to do it in the middle of the floor, especially in a place like Lifetime where there are studios everywhere that sit empty. Go into the fucking yoga studio and do it in there. You don't do it. You do it in the middle of the floor because you want people to see.
You mean you don't like the guy that's like, if you want to get jacked, get into the gym and look like this. I keep doing these.
Dude, these guys at the gym, he gets on a balance.
What's up? My name's Kevin, and I go to Planet Fitness, and I do lat pull downs.
I do lat
Look at my pink shirt,
dude. I'm yoked up, and you know it. I'm
yoked up, and you know it.
You're in cut season.
You know they made fun of like a cat being like, and after all that, I'm type yoked.
That's how I sound. I know. Anyway, I was gonna make a point, and you interrupted me. As you normally do, about the boxing, and I just forget it now. Anyway, do you go to a place like that? What's the gym that you go to, or do you have private?
It's Everybody Fights down in the Seaport. So shout out to them. They've been doing a great job down there, helping me out. I think the biggest thing in the off season, so you want to give your mind a break from basketball, and boxing is a good way to let out your anger a little bit, hit some mitts. But let me tell you this, anybody that thinks hitting mitts is the same as getting into a fight, you're dreaming, because it's easy to hit, but when you get hit, what are you going to do? So it's been great cardio. So if you're in the Boston area and you want to get
get these hands,
get a good cardio work in, go see my guy Spunk down at Everybody Fights.
Come get these hands. We're going to wrap here in a second, but I do want to say, I forgot what the fuck.
No. We got a couple things that we need to talk about.
Okay.
Justin Jefferson got that motherfucking bag.
I didn't see. What is it?
I think it was like $140 million.
Well, they let Kirk go, and they gave it to
Minnesota Vikings. Wide receivers are going to start getting paid like this.
It's crazy that
the new Netflix series. Did you see that with the wide receivers? Justin Jefferson,
like QB1,
Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be wide receivers.
I know, but I'm saying it's like the quarterback one, but for wide receivers.
Yeah. Who does not get enough? Can I say this?
Yeah. He also
Devontae Adams does not get enough credit as a top wide receiver.
Yeah, he's a dog. Well, he also played in.
Well, he was in Green Bay, and people are like, "Oh, Aaron, da 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 da."
Yeah,
went to Vegas and was still putting up numbers
with horrible quarterback play.
I mean, I don't like talking shit about professional athletes because when people talk shit about me, I get pissed.
Yeah,
I get fucking pissed.
You take it to your heart and you start boxing.
I get pissed.
That's what I was going to ask you. Are you going to be in a celebrity boxing match when you're done with this?
That shit'll kill you.
Jake Paul. I don't know if you saw this, but George wants to put the mittens on you. This is how we go viral. We talk about Jake Paul.
Jake Paul mittens.
Yeah, dude, I'll agree. Devontae Adams. It's really impressive to me to see people like him, Garrett Wilson, with some really rough quarterback play, still getting 1,000 yards. Like, how are you even getting the ball? And no offense to some of the players that have thrown the ball to Garrett Wilson, but it haven't been very effective. They're like the worst offense in the last few years. And how is this guy still getting 1,000 yards receiving? It just goes to show.
It's incredible.
How
Stephon Diggs, we didn't forget about you either.
Diggs now, who's going to be in Houston, who's like, they may make some noise. I know.
Houston, we have a problem. But another thing that I wanted to touch on is this kid in Pittsburgh that's pitching for them, Paul Skeens.
Yeah. Is that right, Peter? Paul Skeens?
Paul Skeens. Can we get a name check, please? Paul Skeens.
Peter, can you talk to us over a loudspeaker just so we know you're there?
I can, but I have no idea.
Anyways, thanks. I think it shouldn't go unnoticed that he struck out Ohtani
and then
with 3 straight 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. But it's needless to say that, Ohtani is who he is because
he got up
there and knocked a home run on the second time around. But to be able to do that, to be in Pittsburgh, not a big market. I don't know how the Pirates are doing this year, but that's fucking impressive.
He's a cool guy. I think what we need to do is lock it in right now. Me, you, TJ, and we're going to throw Patty in on this too, because Patty's TJ's boy. We're going to go to Pittsburgh on Skeens Day.
Yes.
We're going to watch Skeens pitch, and we're going to have a million beverages, but low-calorie beverages, because we're both trying to get in shape.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, thanks. We're sorry for the short episode. I do want to tell you George was late. So because George was late, we screwed up this entire episode, and it's all George's fault. Okay, so I'm sorry for that, but we do have some good behind-the-scenes footage, which is going to be good.
Well, guys, thanks for joining again. This is the Bench Sheet Podcast. I'm George Niang, and this is my co-host, Kevin Spees. We'll see you next time.
Nice.